All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're doing a forensic autopsy of the absolute biggest startup collapse of the decade. I mean, we hear about startups failing all the time, right? But the sheer scale of this one, it's completely unprecedented. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how the architecture of a massive financial entity failed so spectacularly. It is literally a masterclass in what happens when you just ignore basic structural rules. $32 billion. Let that sink in. That was the staggering evaluation of this crypto giant at its absolute peak. It's a massive, almost incomprehensible figure. But what's truly mind-blowing about this story is that we aren't talking about a company that slowly bled out over a few years. Oh no. We are here to narrate the $32 billion collapse of a company that completely vanished overnight. Seriously, how does that much perceived value just evaporate into thin air? Well, here's our roadmap for the investigation. We'll look at the 32 billion golden boy, the governance vacuum, the Alameda connection, the missing paper trail, and finally, high growth, zero oversight. Let's get into it. First up, Section 1, the 32 billion golden boy. To understand how the whole structure came crashing down, we gotta start with the architect, Sam Bankman-Fried. Publicly, SBF was hailed as this golden boy, right? A total pioneer of effective altruism, the idea of building massive wealth supposedly just to give it all away for the greater good. It was a narrative the world absolutely loved. But behind closed doors, the reality was a highly insular inner circle characterized by incredibly messy management. The world saw a visionary genius, but internally, the foundation was just dangerously chaotic. That brings us to Section 2, the governance vacuum. This is where we uncover the core architectural flaw. Now, normally, a board of directors acts as an independent body providing corporate oversight. They're the adults in the room. They ask the hard questions, demand audits, ensure legal compliance, and protect investors. But shockingly, for a company valued at $32 billion, FTX had a complete vacuum of independent oversight. They literally lacked a functioning board entirely. It's like a massive cargo ship sailing at top speed with absolutely no one double-checking the captain's navigation. Crazy, right? So without that external oversight, this tiny, unstructured inner circle was left to dictate the fate of a $32 billion company. Think about what that actually means. When the people making the rules are the exact same people executing the trades, with absolutely no one looking over their shoulders, systemic failure isn't just a possibility, it's practically guaranteed. Moving on to Section 3, the Alameda connection. This is the fatal wound that finally brought the giant down. On paper, the boundaries were supposed to be super strict. On one side, you have FTX, the public crypto exchange. Their sole job is to hold customer funds safely and facilitate trades. Simple enough. Then, on the other side, you have Alameda Research, the private hedge fund taking massive market risks with their own capital. In any legal, functioning financial system, there's an impenetrable firewall between the exchange holding your money and the hedge fund making risky bets. But in reality, that firewall just didn't exist, because that same inner circle controlled both entities with zero oversight. They created a massive conflict of interest baked right into the architecture. Customer funds from the exchange were secretly and very dangerously exposed to the high-risk trading bets of the hedge fund. A fatal blur. Now for Section 4, the missing paper trail. Imagine you're an investigator walking into the wreckage of this company looking for standard business records. You would be utterly terrified by what you found. Let the sheer absurdity of this sink in for a second. First, as we covered, no independent board. Second, a total lack of professional accounting. A financial entity managing billions of dollars was literally using software meant for small mom-and-pop shops to track where the money was. And third, no functional HR systems. They were operating at the scale of a global multinational financial institution, but running it with the internal infrastructure of a messy college dorm room project. Finally, Section 5, high growth, zero oversight. Here is the big takeaway. Astronomical growth does not replace corporate oversight. The $32 billion collapse of this giant wasn't just a simple market fluctuation. It wasn't just a bad quarter. No, it was a profound failure of corporate governance from the very beginning. The explosive, staggering growth of the company merely masked the fact that the underlying operational structure was entirely hollow. So we have to ask ourselves, is hypergrowth an excuse for zero oversight? As we've seen today, the answer is a definitive no. The next time we see a shiny startup experiencing meteoric success and commanding billions in valuation, we have to look past the golden public brand and ask the boring structural questions. Where's the board? Where's the accounting? Because without those, billions can and will vanish overnight. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep asking those tough questions.